everyone, this is Ejie from Ti Kong Kia. Today, we are going to do something little different. Instead of focusing on a ritual, we are talking about something deeper. It's called preservation. I'm here with Ronnie today, as known as Batman, someone who are quietly dedicate years to safeguard the god statues. Ronnie, thank you for joining us today. Let's start it simple. When did this become more than just a collecting for you?
Well, you have to remember that I started collecting in the very early 1970s when living in Singapore, which was going through a big transformation. A lot of kampongs were being destroyed, so there were antique shops, junk shops, shops selling god statues, weapons, temple artifacts from so many of the sintois from the Singapore kampongs were suddenly available at very, very low prices, because at that time nobody saw them as antiques, never had put any value on them. So I kind of thought, I will try and collect as much as I can, as much as my salary allowed me to. And I started picking up pieces, bits and pieces. So when you say, when did it start becoming a collection, it's hard to say because it's a piece here, a piece there. At some point, I was living in 3 locations outside of Singapore, and so I had statues in Phnom Penh, I had statues in Penang, where I spent a lot of time, and it was always my dream to put them together, which I did eventually, but for a long, long time they were separated and in different, some were even put in storage because I just had no room for them. So to answer your question, when did it become a collection? I think when I started to get some knowledge
about the Taoist.
About Taoism. And I should explain to you, in the early 1970s, well, I should go back further to tell you about myself, that I was born in Singapore, and I had a mache that was looking after me.
Oh.
All right? And that mache took me to her kampong for the temple birthdays, where she would meet her friends. So I experienced in the 1950s, when I was just a very young kid, like 5, 6, 7 years, no, 4, 5, 6, living in a Chinese kampong, seeing the wayang, going to the temples, which of course I understood nothing about, and eating the food. And I have very strong memories. And I think it's from that mache that I got an interest in this. Yeah. So we zoom forwards to when I returned to Singapore from my studies in the 1970s. And when I visited a few temples in Singapore, in fact, I was taken there by a German photographer who's doing a book, The Guide to Singapore. And I just went with him, and we visited along the Singapore River a temple called the Leng Hiang Tua, which later on became an important place of learning for me because I befriended the Tanki, the shaman. And I felt memories coming back. I started to get a deep interest, and I wanted to learn more. So naturally, I went to the library. I started looking for books. I could find nothing. Yes, there were books about Taoism, about Buddhism, about Confucianism, but nothing about street religion, about what was going on the streets. What I was seeing, lorries, doing a funeral, throwing paper money outside. That sort of thing. So I wanted to learn about that. And I realized that nobody had written anything, so
this is where you started?
I prefer if you just let me talk on. If you need me to stop, it's okay. Because
okay,
I'm going to say what you're asking me to say anyway. So I realized so little was being written about it that... in fact, nothing. There was one book by Alan Elliott about the temple in Bukit Permai in Singapore, and another book by C.S. Wong called Chinese Festivities in Singapore and Malaysia. So I gave myself, rather naively, the project to write a book in 2 years.
Wow.
Little did I realize that the more I learned, the further away, that it was more than a lifetime of study that was needed, in fact. Now I'm at a point of quite a lot of knowledge. There's no way you could write everything. I mean, several
Yeah.
encyclopedias couldn't put it in.
It's been like
All right,
so
so
many
to
years.
go back to your question, when did it start? It was a combination of those factors, wanting to learn about, getting an interest, learning the legends by reading books about it. Remember, there was no internet one could go to in those days.
True.
And I suppose when I started to get to about 50 statues, I said, I probably have a collection, I don't know. And then I saw now, I had other opportunities to buy. People donated statues. I would visit temples where statues were recycled. You know, when people like the older members of the family passed away, the young ones didn't want to continue praying. So they would recycle by putting the or they would convert to Christianity or something.
Yeah.
They would put those statues in the temple.
In the temple, yes.
Yeah, so sometimes you could just take them, or you pray, or you make a small donation. So I got a lot of statues, not very high quality. But I should mention that the statues that I keep mainly are village-level statues. They're not high-end museum pieces. Yes, there are one or two
They are full
really
of
good
story,
pieces, but
yeah.
most of it is rural peasant statues. And
I
that's my
understand.
interest right up to now, what the villages are. If you ask me to look at temples, how I feel about temples, looking at, $10 million brand new cement temple and an old thatch roof, what's it they use? That material they put in the old days on the roof, the old wooden shacks. I prefer that kind of temple. It's more real, more genuine, more
Down
more
to
power.
earth,
What
more
you call
power,
cheek,
yeah.
isn't it?
And also the full of the story about the statues, that kind of things. But how would you describe your relationship with all these statues that you have been collecting?
I think I'm a guardian, or you could say I'm a YMCA for the gods manager. All these statues that end up in junk stores or being are unwanted.
Yeah.
Now, for the local people, for the Chinese, Taoists and Buddhists, it's not a good idea to take somebody else's god. It's actually a kind of taboo, isn't it?
Correct. They say pang tang.
Yeah, the pantang
Yes,
is not
yes,
good. In fact, I
yes.
was married to a Penang Chinese woman for 10 years, and she really hated it when I brought new gods into the house.
Because they
they
say
were second
Pang
hand.
tang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, which was what? Could you remind me?
Like describe your relationship with them.
So I would be their guardian. I would take them over, give them a place, give them love, give them joss, and learn about them. So I know their birthdays. I know a little bit about their
Wow.
legends. And one of the things I love doing is finding a statue that I don't immediately recognize. That could be in a temple or on auction, in
Then you
America
can
or UK.
learn about it.
And I'd say, I don't know this one. So I
Yeah.
try to get the statue and then learn about it.
Yeah, to be honest, as I'm the Chinese and I really like half of it I don't really recognize their story or their name because there's a lot of God in Taoism.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really so respect for you.
In my studies, which we'll talk about later, I have listed already 3,000 of these gods. And there's more. There's many, many more. And many of them are forgotten.
Yeah, I agree.
call them orphan gods.
Orphan God.
Yeah. Gods that have lost their lineage. People forget their names.
Yes.
And they don't have an ancestral temple anymore. So I feel I'm a guardian of all the gods that are unwanted, but especially for the orphan gods. I want to find out their history, their story, and shine a light on them so people will know about them.
Yeah. For me, I think Ronnie, you are like a CIA
You're
agent.
correct. You're correct.
Yeah.
In fact, my files there, which were originally done by my Sifu, Keith Stevens, who died in 2017, he was a British intelligence officer, and his files were MI5 style.
Wow.
One god,
One file.
notes, photographs, and everything.
Wow. And all the history, story,
Yeah.
photograph.
Whatever information he could get. And I follow on using the same tactics.
Yeah. So what was there a moment when this stopped being a hobby and become a responsibility?
Well, people visiting would tell me, my goodness, you have a museum here,
Yeah.
and you need to do something about this. And what happens when you're gone to all these? And
Yeah.
so, yes, there is a responsibility. For the moment, I like, because I enjoy them so much. I enjoy especially the new ones that I'm acquiring. Anybody who's collecting has pleasure from acquiring new items.
Yeah.
But I make sure that, and I would say it's true for this collection of about 1,000+ statues, that I know all their names, barring a few, their birthdays, and
Their stories. Yeah.
and their legends and stories. So that's what I spend 5, 6, 7 hours a day for the last
Few
15 years
15
since I
years.
retired doing that. And before that, I mean, I started this
Yeah.
really in the 1970s. So we're talking about 50-year journey into the gods,
I
which
understand.
started because I couldn't find anything in the libraries to make me understand. And my strategy then was just take photographs. I found the temples were very, very friendly to me. The more I knew, the more, this Angmo understands a little bit. And then they would be interested in me and they would share.
Yeah.
Now, in the pre-internet days, it was not easy to get information. But now everything is available.
Correct. Yeah.
So getting to a responsibility, yes, I do have a responsibility, and at some point I would like to see them in some kind of Taoist museum. But that will depend on my wife, probably.
I think you can build a Taoist museum in
No, I can't do that on my
Penang.
own because it's a lot of work. And you have to find a location,
Correct.
and you have to find people to run it. And it's a big expense. Finding a property would be very expensive. I would need collaborators to do that, not only from the heart, but also financially. Now, few organizations have approached me. The Chia Kongsi, one temple in Jelutong, which had a large land, was thinking about building a Taoist school. I've had all kinds of suggestions, people looking into, and I would always happily donate these statues, but nothing came of these conversations
Yet.
yet.
Yeah. Maybe after this podcast will help. There's more people will know
But
about
I want
it.
to make it clear, I'm not happy to be parted. I mean, these gods will stay with me till I die.
Yeah, I understand that because this is all you are the CIA, you are the safeguard to protecting all the
Well,
collections.
it's more than that. It's also my life's work.
Yeah,
I've donated so much time and energy.
exactly, for
On
so
these.
many years.
I want to say that many people come and visit, and they look at these statues and they say, "Why? Why do you need so many?" And
They don't really understand
Yeah,
how
and-
deeper, how the history, the story about the god, how it bring it to the world and why it exists. This is
well, that's what I was going to say.
yes,
If you learn the legends, the individual legends, then it becomes much more interesting because you know the history, the story, the kind of people that worship these gods, where they come from. Just smelling at the base of a statue, you already know whether it's been prayed to a lot or hasn't received joss for a long time.
wow.
When I look at a statue and I feel it, I get vibrations coming. I communicate with them. So I would say every one of these statues has a story, not on its own without me, but one, when it comes into my hands, it becomes a story.
Yeah, exactly. This is where we go to the next question. What makes